Hi guys, welcome to this video lesson on leadership in sport. Today we need to cover traits of a good leader, how a leader might emerge, the 3 theories of leadership, styles of leadership, and finally Phoena's contingency model. Firstly then, the traits of a good leader. This is pretty obvious stuff, so we'll fly through it quickly. Traits of a good leader, what kind of traits might you have? So vision, communication, decision making, passion, patience, experience, persistence, and perseverance. What the difference between persistence and perseverance is, I don't know. They're basically the same in my opinion, but there we are. I'm not going to go into any more detail on those because they're pretty self-explanatory. Even my GCSE kids can do this. So, how a leader might emerge then. So this is brand new to you. And there are 2 main thoughts about how a leader might emerge. So imagine you've got our group dynamics and you've got our stages of group forming. So you've got forming, storming, norming, performing. The first 2, forming and then storming. So that is when groups are coming together and then they're trying to find their way. So you might have people jostling for position. A prescribed leader is basically someone from outside the group or someone with higher authority. So if you're imagining a football team, the manager of the team will pick the captain. So this guy's the captain, job done, no arguments there. Okay, so it's a prescribed leader. The other style of leadership emergent then is emergent leader. Okay, this is where someone from within the group performs really well. They've been in the group for many years. You've built up trust within the group, and then slowly the group start to see you as like a natural leader, and then they might vote you in as a leader. Okay, so they might pick you as captain based on a democratic vote. Now, we need to consider these 2 different types and how they might impact the group. So if you think back to our group dynamics, you've got our forming of our group, so our group comes together, and you've got storming. So storming is when people in the group start to show their true colours, and you might have a clash in personalities, and several people might want to be the leader of the group. If you have someone from a higher authority or someone from outside the group picking the leader, that will cut that time in half because you don't jostle for position. You're just, that guy's the leader, get on with it. Okay, so it's made nice and easy. An emergent leader, however, might have more respect from within the group. So if you've just had a leader picked for you, the group might not see that person as a natural leader, and therefore they might have some resentment against that leader. However, if you have one of your friends has been with you for many years, you like their leadership style, you know who they are, and you pick them as your captain, you're going to have more respect and more authority more perceived authority of them to be your leader. So therefore you might follow them and have more motivation to do what they say. So that's the 2 different types of emergent leader. How a leader might emerge. So prescribed, they're just picked by someone, or emergent, they slowly start to build up their leadership skills, and then you pick them. Theories of leadership. There are 3 theories of leadership which relate to how a leader might be formed. When I mean formed, I mean grow up from a child into a leader. Now, these theories are the same theories as personality theory that we learned last year in year 12. So if you don't know this, I'm going to be furious at you. Okay? Think about how personalities might develop. There are 3 different ways or 3 different theories we have for this. So the first one is obviously trait theory. Trait theory then is in this called can often be referred to as great man theory. I'll come back to that in a second. But basically, traits are things that are born with you. So it's a personality trait you have. You're born with it. It's innate within you. It's inherent within you, and you can't get rid of it. Okay, so think, bravery, or think if you're extroverted, or you are, you've got good leadership, good communication skills, a good confidence level. This is all. These are all personality traits you're born with, and they never change. So they're enduring. Now, great man theory is a theory that suggests that all of history is basically made up of individuals with these types of personality traits that have helped shape the course of history. So if you think you're Napoleons, think you're kings, think you're Hitlers, think you're Winston Churchills, okay? So just history is made by great men, and these great men were just born with these type of personalities. Yes, great man theory, man is in there as well. So it's quite an interesting thing that states that personality, things that make a good leader are they more inherent in men than women? Okay, it's obviously a very topical debate these days, but in the past, women weren't seen as being confident enough or strong enough to be a good leader, and that's why there haven't been many previous women leading in the past. Okay, obviously now with the development of more female education stuff and people becoming more liberal, obviously this idea has been challenged, and there's no reason, we've got many decent women as leaders these days, so this shines a light on great man theory and suggests it's probably not true. Okay, but it's an interesting debate. If we have trait theory, in your heads it should have been alarm bells suggesting that we should have social learning theory as well. So this suggests that we are a blank slate when we're born and we develop all of our personalities. So the personalities to become a good leader, we will learn. We will learn them through our past experiences. So if you've had leadership practice, or if you've watched someone have learnt from someone, so your in interaction with other people, your watching of other people is going to help you learn to be a good leader as well. So if you are a Padawan in Star Wars, you learn from your master, whatever. Okay, so you're learning your personality types to become a good leader from someone else. Finally then, the same as last year, if you've got trait theory and we've got social learning theory, the last theory then of personalities is interactionist theory. Don't know why the WJEC have done this, but for leadership, they've not called it interactionist, they've called it interactional, but there we are. It's basically the same thing. It suggests that trait theory and social learning theories both have their place, and if you merge them together, so suggests that you are born with some traits and they never change, but you can also learn some traits and you can develop those traits through past experiences. They come together to make you who you are, so that you will become a leader from some things you've got naturally and some things you have learnt. Interactionist theory goes a little bit deeper into leadership, and it suggests that there's two theories to do with leadership. We've got our relationship orientated leaders and we've got our task orientated leaders. These will be very similar to leadership styles we will talk about in a minute, but they're not the same. A relationship-orientated leader is a leader who cares about the individuals and the social cohesion of the group. So they will try to please as many people as they can in the group, and they will develop some trust and mutual respect with the people in their group. So they care about the individuals in the group. A task-orientated leader is the opposite. So they don't really care that much about the people in their group. What they do care about is being good at getting tasks done quickly and efficiently, and they will pick the people in their group to get this done the best. So they're massively dependent on group productivity. If someone's not pulling their weight in their group, they'll just get rid of them. They don't care about their feelings. They want to get the task done quickly and effectively. So task orientated is obviously trying to achieve the task as quickly as you can. Relationship orientated is caring more about the people within your group and the relationships you have with them rather than the task. Styles of leadership we have then. So we have 3 styles of leadership. You should maybe be familiar with some of these. You've probably done them in other subjects, but let's run through them now. These leadership styles are like a continuum. It's not black and white. You might be somewhere between two. So you've got autocratic, democratic, and laissez-faire. Autocratic, okay, we tend to see is from the right. Democratic, we tend to see is from the left. And laissez-faire just floats around kind of wherever it wants. So, autocratic leadership style is one person is in charge and they make all the decisions. So they are very quick at making decisions because they've only got to think for themselves. Okay, they don't run it past anyone else. They make the decisions and that's final. Okay, so it can be quite positive in that regard, that decisions get made quickly. However, the negatives of autocratic is that if one person's making the decisions, they might not have they won't have the brain power of a group. Plus, if you are part of the group and you do not get a say in that decision, so say you're all the other people in the group, you might feel a lack of motivation to perform for the group because you've had no say in what decisions your group has made. Okay, so that's autocratic. Think the dictators without history, Hitler, Stalin, whatever, kings, they are autocratic style leaders. They make the decision and that's final. Democratic then is democracy, okay? So it's multiple people coming together to make a decision. You will still have a leader in there, so like we've got a prime minister, but they will ask for the opinions of a group, so they'll talk to parliament, they'll make decisions, okay? They'll discuss it, and then they'll go forward with that, okay? With this, there's positives and negatives. One positive is that if people are having the say in what happens to their group, they're going to feel more motivated to perform for the group. They feel like their voice is getting listened to, and therefore they will be happier. Okay. Another positive is that you have shared brain power. 10 brains are better than one brain, and therefore the decision is likely to be more accurate, okay, and it's be thought through better. One negative side of the democratic system is that you have lots of people trying to make decisions, and this can take an extremely long time. Group because of this, okay, and therefore decision-making processes are slow. If you think, for example, rugby, yes. Do we go for the try or do we go for the penalty at posts? Well, you've got to decide. If you're asking the group, you've got to make a snap decision, and that can take a while if it's the democratic decision. Laissez-faire is a very laid-back approach, okay? Looking at the descriptions of this, these have come from the WJEC themselves. The WJEC do not like laissez-faire if you're just reading the description, so lack of direction, group easily gives up, members of the group could be aggressive towards one another. What they mean by that is if there's no natural leader, so in laissez-faire the leader takes a back foot, then people are going to get annoyed because no one's actually leading very well. Laissez-faire does have its uses in the wider world. If you think like a monarchy, a modern monarchy, for example Britain, the Queen is our leader, but she doesn't actually do much. She doesn't have any legal powers to make decisions, and therefore she's like a figurehead, and she lets the country run itself. Okay, so that's a laissez-faire style leadership. A judge could be the same. So you've got a judge will, have the session in court, but they won't really make the decisions. They will let the lawyers argue, and then the jury make the final decisions. So that's a laissez-faire style leadership. But looking at this, in WJC for sport, don't really consider this very useful. So the two types of leadership we'll be focusing on are autocratic and democratic. They both have their uses within. So that is the start of leadership within sport. We haven't quite finished this section. We need to talk about Feenley's contingency model, which goes into depth about when you should use the correct type of leadership, but there's a lot more complicated, so we will leave that for next week.